Scotland, a land of ancient castles, misty highlands, deep lochs, and cities where history and modern life blend on every street corner. But behind the postcard views, Scotland is a story of clans and kings, battles and legends, bagpipes, whiskey, and landscapes that don't look real. Edinburgh isn't just the capital of Scotland. It feels like a walk through time. One moment you're on the Royal Mile surrounded by medieval stone buildings, and the next you're in Newtown with elegant Georgian streets and quiet cafes. Above everything stands Edinburgh Castle, built on an extinct volcano. It has seen wars, royal coronations, and even the real crown jewels of Scotland, known as the Honours of Scotland. From its walls, you can see the entire city, the Old Town on one side, Newtown on the other, and Arthur's Seat rising in the distance. The Royal Mile, stretching from the castle to the Palace of Holyrood House, is the city's most historic street. Along it, you'll find old alleyways called closes, bagpipe sounds echoing through the air, traditional shops selling tartan kilts, and local pubs that have stood for centuries. To the east, Arthur's Seat towers over the skyline, a 350-million-year-old volcano and the best natural viewpoint in Edinburgh. Hikers climb it every day just to watch the city wake up under the morning mist or light up at sunset. But Edinburgh isn't only history. Every August, the city turns into the world's biggest stage with the Edinburgh Festival Fringe, hosting thousands of performances in comedy, theater, music, and street art. The city becomes alive, loud, and creative, the complete opposite of its quiet, ancient self. From ghost tours under the city streets to writers like J.K. Rowling finding inspiration in its cafes, Edinburgh is where stories start. Now, leaving the royal charm of Edinburgh behind, we head west to a city that beats with modern energy. Glasgow isn't just Scotland's largest city. It's where the country's modern spirit lives. Once a major shipbuilding hub of the British Empire, Glasgow has transformed into a city of music, art, and innovation. It's known for being UNESCO's first city of music, home to more than 130 live music events every week, from underground indie bands to world-famous concerts at the OVO Hydro Arena. Walk through George Square, surrounded by Victorian buildings and the iconic city chambers, and you'll feel how different it is from Edinburgh. No castles on hills, no royal crowns. Instead, street performers, modern cafes, and people always on the move. The River Clyde, once filled with massive ships, now flows past museums, bridges, and glass-covered modern structures like the Riverside Museum. Designed by Zaha Hadid, showcasing vintage cars, old trains, and Glasgow's maritime past. One of the most photographed spots in the city, the statue of the Duke of Wellington, with a traffic cone on his head, not as disrespect, but as a symbol of Glasgow's humor and identity. Art lovers head to the Kelvin Grove Art Gallery and Museum, where Renaissance paintings sit next to armor, Egyptian mummies, and a giant Spitfire airplane hanging from the ceiling. Just steps away, students relax at the University of Glasgow, a real-life Hogwarts look-alike with Gothic towers and stone corridors that inspired scenes from Harry Potter. Glasgow's not quiet and it's not shy. It's loud, it's creative, it's real. And it shows a side of Scotland that castles can't tell, the modern heartbeat of the nation. From Scotland's loud modern heartbeat in Glasgow, we now head north, where the cities fade and the Highlands begin. The Highlands aren't just a place on the map. They're the Scotland most people imagine before they ever arrive. Vast, empty landscapes, mist-covered mountains, quiet lochs, ruined castles standing alone against the wind. This is where Scotland feels untouched. First stop, Glencoe, a valley carved by ancient glaciers and known as the most dramatic landscape in Scotland. Tall mountains on both sides, waterfalls cutting through their slopes, and silence that feels endless. It's beautiful, but it also holds dark history. In 1692, the massacre of Glencoe took place here when members of Clan MacDonald were killed after offering hospitality to government soldiers. Even today, locals say the glen carries that memory in its silence. Travel deeper and the road leads to Loch Ness, one of the deepest lakes in Britain and home to the world's most famous mystery, Nessie, the Loch Ness Monster. Scientists say it's just a legend. Locals say, not so fast. Nearly 1,000 reported sightings and still no proof. But the misty water, surrounded by pine forests and the ruins of Edinburgh Castle, makes it easy to believe the story could be true. At the edge of the Highlands sits Inverness, often called the capital of the Highlands. It's small, calm, and built around the River Ness. From here, travelers explore ancient battlefields like Culloden, where the last battle fought on British soil ended the Jacobite uprising in 1746. But the Highlands aren't only history and legends. They're Scotland's wild heart. Rolling moorlands, red deer wandering freely, single-track roads and skies so clear at night that you can see the northern lights in winter. From Scotland's rugged mainland, we cross the bridge where reality starts to look like a dream. Welcome to the Isle of Skye. The Isle of Skye isn't just another island. It feels like a world apart. Jagged mountains, fairytale rock formations, waterfalls that drop straight into the sea, and skies that change from sunshine to storm in minutes. The journey usually begins at Portree, the island's main town. Colorful houses line the harbor, fishing boats rock gently on the water, and the smell of sea salt and fresh seafood fills the air. From here, every road leads to something extraordinary. One of the island's most iconic spots is the Old Man of Storr, a tall, dark rock pinnacle rising from lush green slopes. It's the result of ancient volcanic activity, but locals say it's the grave of a fallen giant, his finger still pointing toward the sky. Climb to the top, and you'll see endless views, rolling hills, mirrored lakes, and the sea blending into the horizon. Then comes the Kerrang, a landslip that looks unreal, with twisted cliffs, hidden plateaus, and sliding earth still slowly shifting today. It's one of the few landscapes in the world that is still moving. Not far away lies Fairy Glen, a miniature valley with tiny moss-covered hills and spiral stone patterns that feel like a scene from a fantasy film. Nearby, waterfalls like Mealt Falls plunge straight off cliffs into the ocean, right beside the famous Kilt Rock, a cliff formation that looks like the pleats of a Scottish tartan kilt. And of course, the fairy pools. Crystal clear blue waters flowing from the Quillan Mountains, forming natural pools and small waterfalls. On sunny days, they look like magic. On cold days, they remind you Scotland is never afraid to test its visitors. Skye is wild, beautiful, and unpredictable. One moment peaceful, the next covered in fog. And that's what makes people return, not for comfort, but for wonder. Leaving Skye's wild magic behind, we return to Scotland's heartland, where castles rise, legends were born, and the fight for freedom began. Stirling. Stirling sits almost exactly between Edinburgh and Glasgow, but its role in Scotland's story is far bigger than its size. People say, whoever controls Stirling controls Scotland, and for centuries that was true. Standing high on volcanic rock is Stirling Castle, once home to Scottish kings and queens. From its walls, you can see the entire landscape. Green fields, the River Forth bending below, and mountains in the distance. This is where Mary, Queen of Scots, was crowned in 1543. Its grand halls, royal chambers, and defensive walls make it one of the most important castles in the country. Just a few minutes away is the place where Scottish history took a dramatic turn, the Battle of Stirling Bridge in 1297. Here, William Wallace and his outnumbered army defeated the English by using the narrow bridge to their advantage. Today, a towering 67-meter monument, the National Wallace Monument, stands on Abbey Craig Hill, overlooking the very ground where the battle took place. Inside, Wallace's actual sword is displayed, over 5 feet long. Nearby is Bannockburn, the site of another legendary battle in 1314, where Robert the Bruce led Scottish forces to victory and secured Scotland's independence. Today, the Bannockburn Heritage Centre uses 3D technology and interactive displays to bring the battle back to life. But Stirling isn't all battles and war. Its old town is filled with cobblestone streets, medieval churches, and ancient buildings like the Church of the Holy Rood, where kings were crowned. Stirling is where Scotland stopped being just land and became a nation. From the battlegrounds where Scotland won its freedom, we now travel northeast. to a city built from stone, sea, and the strength of its people. Aberdeen. Aberdeen looks different from every other Scottish city. Where Edinburgh feels ancient and Glasgow feels modern, Aberdeen feels carved, like it was built from the earth itself. Most of the city is made from grey granite, a stone that sparkles when the sun hits it. That's why it's called the Granite City, or even Silver City by the Sea. Many of these buildings were built using stone from nearby Rubislaw Quarry, once the largest man-made hole in Europe. Aberdeen is also known as the energy capital of Europe. Ever since oil was discovered in the North Sea in the 1970s, this city became the center of offshore oil and gas. Its harbor is full of supply ships and massive oil vessels, and its economy connects Scotland to industries across the world. But Aberdeen isn't just business and industry. Walk down to Aberdeen Beach, and you'll see long golden sands facing the rough North Sea. In winter, you might even spot bottlenose dolphins jumping near the harbor entrance, one of the few cities in the world where this happens so close to shore. In the city center, Marischal College stands tall, a massive granite building that looks like a palace made of stone. It's the second largest granite building in the world, and now serves as the headquarters of the city council. Close by is Old Aberdeen, a peaceful district with narrow streets, stone cottages, and the University of Aberdeen, founded in 1495, making it one of the oldest universities in the English-speaking world. Not far from the city lies Dunnottar Castle, perched dramatically on a cliff overlooking the sea. It's one of Scotland's most cinematic ruins, a fortress that once hid the Scottish crown jewels from invading English forces. Aberdeen is quiet, strong, and enduring. It doesn't shout history, it stands in it. Leaving the mainland's granite and oil behind, we set sail across the North Sea to where time seems to have stood still. The Orkney Islands. The Orkney Islands lie off the northeast coast of Scotland, scattered like stepping stones in the sea. Here, under grey skies and strong tides, you'll find some of the most extraordinary archaeological sites in Europe, and landscapes so wild they feel unchanged for thousands of years. Step into Skye, a Neolithic village older than the Egyptian pyramids. For 5,000 years, its stone houses have remained intact under turf roofs. Walk through the rooms where people cooked, slept, and lived, and realize you're stepping into someone's daily life half a millennium before Cleopatra. Nearby, on the windswept moor of Maeshowe, giant stones form a chambered tomb aligned precisely to the winter solstice sunset. Vikings later carved runes into its walls, two ancient cultures meeting in one place. At the Ring of Brodgar, a circle of 36 standing stones rises in a field of heather and mist. It once may have served as an astronomical observatory or a place of early worship. Today you walk its rim and feel the circle's silent power. Orkney is also home to rich wildlife, puffins clinging to cliffs, gray seals lounging on rocky shores, and sea eagles sweeping low across the fjord-like lochs. In fact, the islands generate more energy from wind power than they consume, a modern twist to ancient land. In the small town of Kirkwall, you'll find the ruins of St. Magnus Cathedral, started in 1137, combining Viking stonework with early Gothic design. The narrow lanes around the harbor still smell of herring and peat, an echo of Orkney's fishing legacy. Visiting Orkney isn't about comforts. It's about standing on the edges of time. It's where you see the trace of ages in the stones beneath your feet and feel how people connected to the land for thousands of years. From ancient stones and sea winds of Orkney, we journey south again, to a place where mountains meet quiet waters, Loch Lomond. Just an hour from Glasgow, the scenery transforms again. Skyscrapers and granite fade into forests, mirror-like waters, and rolling hills. This is Loch Lomond, part of Scotland's first national park, known as one of the most beautiful freshwater lakes in Britain. Loch Lomond stretches over 22 miles, dotted with more than 30 islands, some inhabited, some untouched. The largest island, Inchmurren, once hosted medieval monks and even a royal hunting lodge. To the east lies Ben Lomond, one of Scotland's most climbed mountains. From its summit, you can see the Highland Line, where the gentle lowlands stop and the rugged highlands begin. Villages like Lewes line the loch's shore. Stone cottages, flower gardens, and quiet docks where wooden boats drift in still water. But Loch Lomond isn't just peaceful, it has history. It once marked the territory of Rob Roy MacGregor, Scotland's most famous outlaw, sometimes called the Scottish Robin Hood. This region is often called the Highlands in miniature because it holds everything Scotland is known for: lochs, forests, mountains, castles, and legends, all in one place. Beyond the calm of Loch Lomond, we now sail to the Outer Hebrides, where beaches look tropical, but the wind reminds you this is still Scotland. Far off Scotland's west coast lies a chain of islands untouched by time. Harris and Lewis, two connected lands forming the largest island in the Outer Hebrides. On Harris, white sand beaches and turquoise water stretch along Luscantire Beach, often voted one of the most beautiful beaches in the world. From a distance, it looks like the Caribbean, until the cold Atlantic wind hits your face. The landscape is a mix of rocky hills, peat bogs, and endless ocean views. This is also the birthplace of Harris tweed, the world-famous hand-woven fabric made only here by local artisans in their own homes. Legally, it cannot be produced anywhere else on Earth. North, the land becomes Isle of Lewis, home to one of Scotland's oldest mysteries, the Callanish Standing Stones, a stone circle built around 5,000 years ago, even older than Stonehenge. No one knows exactly why it was built. Astronomy, rituals, burial site. The stones haven't answered yet. Nearby is Giranan Blackhouse Village, a restored 19th century coastal settlement where people lived in turf-roofed stone houses, sharing space with their animals during storms. The Atlantic brings wind, rain, sometimes sun, all in the same hour. But on clear nights, the sky glows with stars, and sometimes the northern lights. St. Andrews is a small town, but its influence stretches across centuries and across the world. This is the birthplace of golf. The sport began here in the 1400s on natural grassland shaped by sea winds. The world-famous Old Course at St. Andrews Links is considered the oldest golf course on Earth. Its Swilcan Bridge, a tiny stone arch over a narrow burn, has become a symbol of the sport. Every legendary golfer, from Jack Nicklaus to Tiger Woods, has walked across it. But St. Andrews is more than golf. In 1413, the University of St. Andrews was founded, making it Scotland's oldest university and the third oldest in the English-speaking world after Oxford and Cambridge. Its courtyards and medieval lecture halls still host students from across the globe. Even members of modern British royalty, like Prince William and Catherine Middleton, studied here. Walk through the town and you'll find St. Andrew's Cathedral, once the largest church in Scotland. Today, only ruins remain: broken towers, stone arches, and gravestones overlooking the sea. Nearby stands St. Andrew's Castle, perched on cliffs, with underground tunnels used during battles and sieges. Down at the shoreline is West Sands Beach, a long stretch of sand backed by dunes. You might recognize it. It's the filming location for the famous running scene in the movie Chariots of Fire. St. Andrews feels like a mix of ancient academia, quiet coastal life, and sporting legend, all in one small place. Just a short drive north along the coast, the landscape shifts. History gives way to innovation, and we arrive in Scotland's city of design, Dundee. Once known for jute factories, shipbuilding, and smoke-filled mills, Dundee has transformed itself into a modern hub of creativity, science, and design. Standing right on the waterfront is the striking V&A Dundee, Scotland's first design museum, and the only V&A museum outside London. Its architecture, inspired by Scottish sea cliffs, looks like a ship rising from the River Tay. Inside, you'll find exhibits on fashion, gaming, Scottish innovation, and even furniture crafted by Charles Rennie Mackintosh. Just beside it lies the RRS Discovery, the famous wooden ship that carried Captain Scott and Ernest Shackleton to Antarctica in 1901. Step on board and you're standing exactly where explorers braved freezing seas, endless ice, and the unknown. But Dundee isn't only about museums. It's a city that helped shape modern entertainment. This is where iconic video games like Grand Theft Auto and Lemmings were created. Because of this, UNESCO named Dundee the United Kingdom's first city of design. Explore a bit further, and you'll find Dundee Law, an extinct volcano right in the center of the city. Climb to the top, and you're rewarded with panoramic views of the River Tay, the Tay Rail Bridge, and the Highlands in the distance. In the heart of the city is McManus Art Gallery and Museum, surrounded by Victorian streets, cafes, and student life from the University of Dundee and Aberdeen University. Dundee isn't ancient like Edinburgh, and it doesn't have the royal history of Stirling, but it represents something else: Scotland's future, driven by creativity, curiosity, and reinvention. Just when you think Scotland has shown all its faces, it reveals one more, far to the north, where the North Sea meets the Atlantic. This is the Shetland Islands, a place where Viking heritage, raw coastal beauty, and windswept solitude collide in the most dramatic way. Located roughly 170 kilometers north of mainland Scotland, Shetland feels like a world of its own, closer to Norway than London, both in distance and in spirit. Here, stone cottages cling to emerald cliffs, ancient Norse ruins sit quietly under gray skies, and seabirds wheel over crashing waves that have shaped these islands for millennia. Walk into Lerwick, the capital, and you'll hear surnames of Norse origin, sea boats swaying in sheltered harbors, and feel that quiet energy of a place shaped by the sea. Just beyond town lies Clickaman Brock, a prehistoric stone fort nearly 2,000 years old, silent, circular, and powerful. Drive or ferry deeper into the islands, and the landscapes grow close to mythical. Ness cliffs, towering black volcanic sea cliffs carved by relentless waves. St. Ninian's Isle, connected to the mainland by a natural sand tombeau, with ruins of an ancient chapel where a hoard of Pictish treasure was found. Jarlshof, one of the most important archaeological sites in Scotland, with layers of settlement from the Bronze Age, Iron Age, Norse Vikings, and medieval Scots all in one place. And then there's Up Helly AI, Europe's biggest fire festival, held every January. A torchlit procession, a Viking longship, and a night of flames and tradition, celebrating Shetland's Norse roots in the boldest way possible. Shetland isn't just a destination, it's a feeling, remote but alive, cold but welcoming, quiet yet full of stories carried by the wind. From the industrial heartbeat of Glasgow to the white sands of Harrison Lewis, we've crossed ancient battlefields, stood under castle shadows, listened to bagpipes echo through cobbled streets, and watched mist drift across quiet lochs. But Scotland isn't just a place you visit, it's a place you feel. It's in the silence of Glencoe, where the mountains guard memories of history and heartbreak. It's in the laughter of locals in a tiny pub, sharing stories over a glass of whiskey older than they are. It's in the untouched beauty of the Highlands, where roads twist through nothing but land, sky, and freedom. And it's in every ruined abbey, every storm-battered island, every sunrise over mossy stone walls, reminding us that time may move forward, but here, the past still speaks. Scotland is mystery, it's pride, it's survival, and long after you leave, a part of it travels with you. If this journey across Scotland moved you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who dreams of traveling the world. And tell us in the comments, where should we explore next?